What's up, boys and girls? It's your guy Matt RDK, and guys, look, I had to go a little more with the fit. We wore the signed John Cena hat, not signed by John Cena himself, unfortunately. I was just telling Rivera off camera, it is signed by the GOAT, Kofi Kingston, and Brodus Clay. We'll talk about that in a second. But I wanted to wear the OG shirt from WrestleMania. The story continues as we call the podcast after, because this is actually a very special episode. We're going to be talking about the biggest event of the summer, SummerSlam, upcoming next week. But also, it's episode 10 of the podcast, you know? We've had Night Sky, my boy, on like 4-ish episodes. I think Rivera's probably in second. This is his third, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
And we had a couple other guest hosts altering in, but I've been having a lot of fun. There's no signs of slowing down. Wrestling is 365 days a year, so we have plenty of wrestling to cover, plenty of content to come, and I've been enjoying it, so hopefully you guys are too. You guys have been watching all the shorts and everything and whatnot, but Rivera made it a point, like last time we recorded, that it's always awkward for the guest when I'm doing this intro, and they just have to sit there and twiddle their thumbs awkwardly. So I want to dive into the meat of this podcast, because we have a lot to cover. It is the biggest event of the summer. I forget what they used to call it. It used to be like the hottest event of the summer, whatever it is. Yep. But SummerSlam is upcoming. In my eyes, and I'm sure probably yours as well, like this is WWE's biggest event aside from WrestleMania. So the reason this podcast is going to have so much to cover is because these past couple episodes have been five match cards. And this is already at 7 with the possibility of more, which is where I want to start the podcast. So you guys know how these go. We will go match by match, digest them, dissect them, I think I meant to say, and go, match by match. However, what are the highlights that you see that are missing? I'm going to throw out the first one, and I think it's the Wyatt 6. I mean, they've been building. That's one of the hottest storylines right now in WWE. Currently don't have a match, which means Chad Gable doesn't have a match. That's the one I'd like to talk about. But were there any other big voids that you've seen so far with the SummerSlam card?
I mean, like, every match has a title opportunity in it, and the biggest sore thumb is that there's no tag titles on the line at all. Bro. Like they're switching them back and forth on Raw and SmackDown, but they're not like putting them on PLEs. These tag teams aren't taking it to the PLE. Like it feels very mid-card, like they used to feel. Like they just kind of feel like nothing. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. And just like, other than Punk and Drew, like I feel like, and Liv and Rhea, I guess it's just like a lot of these guys are wrestling, or a lot of these guys are wrestling for the title because of like King of the Ring or something. So there's not much like actual feud, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. However, like they made Damian and Gunther look really good. Really, I'm getting very excited for that match. But other than that, like Nia and Bayley, it's like whatever. I'm still excited for it. It's just like, where's the build up?
Yeah, a lot less investment in there. But that's why I brought up the Wyatt 6, is because I feel like when you look at WWE, and I feel like I've been a broken record the past couple episodes with you and all the other hosts. I feel like I'm saying the same thing. It's like there's so many storylines that are cooking right now, and you can point your finger to but the Bloodline, the Wyatt 6, the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan, you name it. But then you have all these other matches that are getting tossed on the card that just are like no build at all. I
was really hoping for a Final Testament match.
Hell no! That's the bathroom break. Hell no!
We need one of those.
That was a great point you made. I actually wasn't even like. That's what I'm saying. I don't even think about the tag titles anymore, which is so sad because I know at WrestleMania 39 when you started watching, the tag titles were so important that they main evented night 1. Usos, Kevin and Owens, Sami Zayn was like peak cinema. That shot of Sami Zayn when he's about to hit the haluva kick and win, I was so invested in the tag titles, and now they've fallen off. I'm all for the tag titles like being split. I'm not a big fan of unified titles, but yeah, they like I couldn't even tell you the champs are right now. I think it's Judgment Day and DIY, but they it's a hot potato. Like they get flip-flopped and it goes crazy. So that would be cool if they could be additions to SummerSlam, but more than likely if they are, they're going to be on the kickoff show. However, I would like to see either like an Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable, or maybe you do some type of 6-man tag like Gable now that he has the Creed brothers against like I don't know, maybe you do like the 3 Wyatt 6 members of like Rowan, Loomis, and Gacy. Maybe you do like a Otis and 2 Wyatt 6 members. I don't know, but I feel like that's one of your hottest storylines right now. So to have them off of SummerSlam felt a little weird to me. But at the time of recording, we are after the second to last Monday Night Raw and before the second to last SmackDown. So we will have one more opportunity with this final Raw before SummerSlam to add any last Raw matches. And we do currently have 2 opportunities for SmackDown matches to be added. But with those voids being discussed, we should now get into the actual card itself, which there's 7 matches. We got a lot to go through. I think we're going to start with the mid-card titles, man. And we already mentioned his name, but let's start with a match that we already saw on the last PLE. Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker 2, Intercontinental Championship. How you feeling with this one?
Man, like this past Raw, the number 1 contender match with Ilya, it was so strange. I mean, I don't know if Ilya actually got hurt or whatever. I didn't see anything on Twitter, but I thought it was just so strange that they just like Ilya. I was really hoping they would do like a triple threat or something, but it didn't. But like after that match in Raw, like it doesn't seem like Ilya is going to be part of this feud whatsoever. I think that's just weird. But then also, I hope that they just give it to Braun. Like I think Sami. I'm kind of done with Sami. I was done with Sami last PLE. Yeah. Never mind this PLE. Or rather, I was fine with Sami retaining. I wasn't fine with Braun losing so clean. It took one haluva kick and he was down. So I'm hoping that they, bring the energy. So like the first match gave me a bad taste in my mouth. I hope that this next match really like picks up and we get a good match and hopefully Braun wins it. That would be a great rookie year to start. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I'm much more of a Sami Zayn fan than I am a Braun Breaker fan. Like, I just haven't watched enough Braun to really be a fan or not. But you gotta, come on, give Sami his flowers. You guys know on this podcast we call Sami Zayn Mr. PLE. This man shows up and shows out. I get it, the storylines may not always be too interesting, but when it comes to being in the spotlight, Sami Zayn shows out. However, my prediction is it will go to Braun just because I think, like you have so many kind of floaters on Raw. Like you'll still have Ilya Dragunov, all the other mid-carders, anyone that was in the like top title scene that's gonna like drop down in the mid-card, vice versa. And I think Sami has now been planted the earliest seeds to the Bloodline reunion. I do think if it's going to be a War Games and they need an extra man, like, at the end of the day, Sami Zayn was in the OG Bloodline War Games match. I do think the story's there for Sami to get involved in that storyline again, and maybe that'll help him build up even more momentum to go back to being a possible main event, contender. But yeah, I mean, just recently he did that whole entrance with Jey Uso, and they did the little handshake. I was like, hey, it's back. So I'm invested in that, and I don't think Sami has to be carrying the Intercontinental title at all. It'll just get sidetracked, lose momentum. So I think this is the point, like you had Braun lose clean, let him get his revenge match. If he loses twice to Sami Zayn, clean especially, that could be damaging. You're risking it. Like he might lose everything and not recover,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this is pretty pivotal. I do think at this point, since you're pushing it, I didn't think Braun should have been the one to dethrone Sami in the first place. But in the situation we are now, where it's a second match, you have no choice. I was always on the Chad Gable train. However, he's now involved in the other hot storyline with the Wyatt Six, so I get it. He's doing his own thing. But I thought the Intercontinental Championship was perfect for Gable right now. He's been, just doing chef's kiss work. But yeah, it's probably going to Braun. He's gonna hold it down, go on in like a Gunther like reign more than likely, and that's where I see it. I see Sami going on to the Bloodline. However, there is one other mid-card title match finally on a PLE. I saw a stat that Logan Paul has only defended the U.S. title like twice in however many days, which is insane.
260 or something.
And I was at one of them. WrestleMania 40 was one of his 2 defenses, which is insane. But he is finally, this is why this card is so good. It's a lot of matches we've been waiting for. He is finally defending against the man we wanted to see face Logan Paul for that title, LA Knight. Yeah. I don't know about you. I think it's Knight's crowning moment. Everyone kept saying, "Save it for the big show. Save it for a big show." This is literally the big show. So that's what I be feeling. I think it's time. But where do you stand with LA Knight and Logan Paul?
I definitely don't think I want to see Logan Paul carry that title all the way into 41. Absolutely not. Especially if he's going to defend it this little time. I mean, we gave Roman all the shit about defending the title once in a blue moon. Like, I feel like Logan Paul is like the worst. Like, granted, Logan Paul's more active on his social media platform with it than like Roman was, but yeah, I think Knight has to take this, and I think that he would make that US belt look very strong as well. He could feud with people like the Jacob Fatu or something, because he has past feuds with the Bloodline, or I don't even know. I can't even think of the SmackDown roster right now. But I just because it's so minimal. Yeah. But I would like to. LA Knight's gonna take that belt off of social media and back into the wrestling world, which is what we need. Because Logan gave it advertisement to the world, but now we gotta remember it's a wrestling belt. We need to bring it right back and start wrestling with it. So my vote here is LA Knight for sure.
Hell yeah, I'm on board. I feel like there's just nothing left to say. I think it's gonna be a banger match. Logan, this is my question though. Logan's a great wrestler, as we know. Like, just gifted. Like, he's always gonna put on a good match that you're memorable. I love LA Knight, but is he capable of putting on a banger? Like, I don't know. I don't know how good he can be in the ring. I'm not taking anything away from this man, but when I think about it, he has had incredible feuds. Like, he had the whole thing with the Fiend. What was the other one? He's had some good runs against Roman Reigns, the Fatal 4-Way Royal Rumble for the world title. Like, he's obviously one of the top on the mic, but when it comes to being in the ring, I am interested to see, in a one-on-one big championship match, how he holds his own. And presumably, if LA Knight wins the US title, I want to see how the crowd starts treating him, because any hot act, even you can use Joe Hendry as the example right now, when they finally win the title, the crowds get bored because the story's been finished. Their guy is on top, and they're like, well, it's literally the plankton meme. Like, I didn't think I'd get this far. Like, that's when you just lose interest. Yeah. So I'm interested to see that. But you actually brought it up when you mentioned the Bloodline. I guess one more big void from this card that I literally just thought of in the conversation. Obviously, Solo's in the main event, which we'll get to later. No Jacob Fatu, no Tongas. But that also means we're not going to have Kevin Owens and Randy Orton slated on this pay-per-view yet. Do you think maybe some kind of tag match is going to get added here? Or, I mean, where are they going to fit? You really going to have a SummerSlam with no Viper? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it seems like the past couple SmackDowns, they've really been hammering down on that. Like, they put Randy out of action, they put Kevin out of action, and like the next person that they're gonna go after is Cody, and it seems like that's what they're gonna do at SummerSlam. So it seems like they're just, I don't think they're gonna have a match. Maybe they'll make an appearance during the Cody fight. Yeah, but I can't see them having their own match. I mean, it seems like at least creative wise, they're getting like written off, at least for SummerSlam, trying to give them a reason to not be there. But it does suck. Like, Randy Orton comes back for Survivor Series, and then he's just not at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I know. And he's been having a generational run. Like, him and KO have just been, at every single PLE putting on good match. And now it's like, all right, you're at the second biggest show. You were at Mania, y'all lost to Logan, but at least you had a match. Now it's SummerSlam, and you're not on the card. Like, damn, Especially with Randy, like, we have Cena retiring. You got a year left of Cena.
Yep.
Orton's not that far behind. Maybe X amount of years, less than 5, however long, like, and that's it. The Viper's gonna hang it up too. So to just, not let him have a moment on SummerSlam when that door could be closed at any moment. I feel like that's a big void that I didn't even think of until we really got into the conversation. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I do think, you can't have a Bloodline match without interference. And I don't want to talk about the main event too much yet because we have other stuff to get to. But I could see maybe Randy and KO having their big return in that match, fend off the Tongas or something. But, this is the perfect transition, Rivera. While we're on the topic of the Bloodline, why don't we move to the SmackDown Women's Championship match, where the possible only female Bloodline member might be brewing. Nia Jax fighting for the Women's World Championship over on SmackDown against Bayley. We kind of mentioned it earlier. I feel like this is going to be a quick one to get through because, again, Bayley's tragic story as champion. We all love Bayley, but we just have yet to be really invested in a feud, and her opponents and pool of people to fight over on SmackDown, it feels slim. I mean, you do got Bianca, Jade, Tiffany Stratton, but she hasn't had any programs with them yet. She's been thrown Piper Niven, Nia Jax. I can't even name who else was in there. Like, it's just like, where's the program with like the dream opponents, But do you have much to say for this match, and how are you feeling?
I mean, like, with Tiffany winning the Money in the Bank, and now Tiffany and Nia Jax are kind of like buddy. I'm honestly, I don't know if I really want Tiffany to just go for the cash in at SummerSlam, or all I know is I really don't want them to like tease it. It's either she's gonna cash in on Nia or Bayley, or make it a triple threat, or she doesn't show up at all. I feel like if they do what they did with Damian and just constantly keep just like bringing it up, teasing us, it's gonna get old. We literally just got rid of Damian's briefcase in April. We do not need to continue doing this, and later on in the year. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, there's not much build up. It's kind of just like Nia Jax won Queen of the Ring and then just is feuding with the title holder because she has a title picture. But yeah, I mean, I'm not super excited. I'm sure it's going to be a good match. It's going to be a fine match, I guess. Nia Jax kind of just wrestles a little too slow for my liking. But I think if they add the cash in, I think it'll be interesting. Because my thoughts is that she's going to cash in because Nia Jax, I think, should win the title. But I don't think anyone wants her to win the title. So that's when the cash in comes in. Because she wins it, there's going to be nuclear heat. And then Tiffany comes in, swoops it. Kind of just like how last year, was it Fastlane? It was the triple threat with Charlotte, Bianca, and I forget who else. But
that's when Io cashed in.
Yeah, Bianca won. And everyone's like, oh, great. Are we just going to have another freaking 300-day run? Yada, yada, yada. And then there comes Io swooping in to cash in.
The sprint. I remember that shit.
Exactly. So she saved us from, like, they kind of bamboozled us. They were like, oh, look at Bianca got the title again. So I think it's going to be something like that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, at least on the SmackDown side, the title is either waiting for, like, the worst part about it is Bianca and Jade are stuck into the women's tag division, even though they have done nothing to get their titles back. And I feel like they're kind of either waiting for Jade to be ready, Bianca to be ready to feud with Jade, or Charlotte return. I think that's the biggest thing. And I don't think Charlotte's gonna return in SummerSlam, but I do think that like that belt's just kind of a placeholder for Charlotte. Yeah. Honestly. Because I don't know what they're doing. That belt has like no plot line. At least like Rhea and Liv have their plot line. Yeah. It's like the storyline first, title second. That title is just kind of like neither. It's like Bayley's not defending it and Bayley's not having storylines. So I'm like, I don't know what they're doing with it.
100%. And you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, I think the finish is, Bayley is always going to be respected. She doesn't necessarily need the title. Anytime one of the four horsemen get the championship, I've said this time and time again, it's just to pad their stats. They don't need them. They'll always be, top contenders in WWE. So I do see Bayley dropping the title already. I think Nia Jax wins, but nobody wants to see Nia Jax reign, with all due respect. Not taking anything away from her. She's there week by week, traveling, putting in the work of being a WWE superstar, not taking away from her grind. But just, again, it's the type of wrestling, and I've said this. Like, literally, I feel like all these points still get continued because these same kind of matches are popping up on these PLEs and nothing changes. To the fact that, like, I just feel like these giants in WWE just don't put on good championship matches, Like, it was always the case for Big Show, for Omos, for Great Khali. In the females side of thing, you had Karma, like was around a while ago, and now it's Nia Jax. And it's like, it's not like they're bad, but they're just not main event contenders. They're like mid card, you know, maybe an Intercontinental Championship run, a mid card title run. They're an attraction, but they're not gonna give you 5-star bangers. And that's the case with this. It's like, it definitely feels more of like a, all right. It's almost like a tip of the cap to Nia. Like, you've been here for so long. It feels like Natalya. Like, Natalya has just served WWE for so long. But at the end of the day, she's not to the level of Charlotte or Becky Lynch or Rhea Ripley.
Right.
But you're just going to once in a while, like, thanks for being loyal. Here's the championship match, you know? Like, that's what it feels like for Nia Jax. It's like, thanks for sticking and being a WWE superstar. Here's your title match. And then, I think it's literally going to be Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, WrestleMania 40, where Nia will win, but then Tiffany's coming out to cash in. I would be shocked if Bayley retains. I would be shocked if Nia Jax actually has a reign. I personally think Tiffany is definitely cashing in, just because, again, we don't need the whole briefcase being dragged out for so long. But I mean, you pretty much covered most of the things I wanted to talk about with this match. Like, there's just not much investment or storyline going into it. Again, I just feel like Bayley just has such bad luck. Like, she obviously is capable of great storylines and character work. During COVID, she like held it down. It was like an attraction as champion. But this title reign has just been flat with like lack of competition, lack of story, you know, which sucks. I do think Bayley's a better heel, so maybe that's a part of it. Like, just being a face isn't working for her. But where one women's title match lacks, the other women's titles match, you could argue, could even main event SummerSlam. It is on top of the world. Liv Morgan. So this is, now we're talking about the Raw, the Women's World Championship. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. This is one that I'm really looking forward to. And to be honest with you, I don't really know how it's gonna go. My prediction would be Liv is walking out of SummerSlam still champion. But I think there's just like so many different possibilities to how that could happen. But before I give my predictions, where do you stand with this one?
Is it crazy that I want Liv to win?
Oh, honestly, I do too. And that's crazy because I love Rhea Ripley. But Liv has just been putting top tier work in recently. I
think it must be the announcement of Bad Blood in October. But I'm just like, oh, this feud needs to go to Atlanta. Like, this feud needs to go to Atlanta, go to Bad Blood, and like it needs to result in a brutal match. I feel like this type of feud can't just end in a 1v1. Like, it needs to be a street fight, cage match, Hell in the Cell. You name it. I think this type of feud just needs like a stipulation and a hardcore stipulation. And I kind of just want to see this continue. I don't know the result. I don't know how they're going to manage it. Like, I don't know if Dom's going to turn on Rhea, Finn's going to join Liv, and Liv's going to split Judgment Day. I have no idea, but I'm invested, and I don't want it to end at SummerSlam. That's my biggest take here. Please don't end this at SummerSlam. I'm enjoying it every week on Raw. It's next to CM Punk and McIntyre. It's the most fun feud that we have in wrestling right now.
Yep, 1000%. You summed it up, because those things I was talking about and alluding to were the multiple paths. Dom could side with either Rhea or Liv. As of now, it seems he sided with Rhea, but will he stay loyal to that, or will he go with Liv? We don't know. Like, it could go either way, because if he sides with Liv, costs Rhea the title, boom, Dom and Liv are the next big thing. Nuclear heat. Or the next whole debate is like, who is the good guy in this whole story? Someone posted an interesting video on Twitter, and they were like, you guys forgetting that like Liv Morgan's the good guy after all? And it was the video of like Rhea like viciously like stomping Liv's like shoulder with the chair, and I was like,
true.
That's not something a good guy would be doing. So I mean, it's just like everyone's on the borderline of like, are you the good guy? Are you the bad guy? I think Finn Balor is definitely orchestrating shit in the storyline, or maybe he isn't, because I was so strong for Finn Balor to win Money in the Bank, and then he wasn't even in the match. So maybe they're just like, nah, fuck Finn Balor, like he's just an afterthought. But yeah, I think this is definitely one of the matches where, compared to the other matches we've discussed, this one has probably the most unpredictability on the night. It could go either way, and I agree. I wasn't even thinking about that perspective about Bad Blood, but it seems like they're really kind of building up that pay-per-view to be like, this is where like hatred is going to fester. And I think the two storylines that will really thrive by just dragging out two Bad Blood are the exact same storylines you mentioned. Liv and Rhea and Punk and Drew. And I don't know, I think personally it makes more sense to have Liv continue to be the champion in this storyline, just because Rhea is so naturally popular and threatening and whatnot, and Liv sometimes can fall a little flat, like, you know, when she's not like slated as a top contender. We've seen mid-card Liv many times, and like I remember when she came back at the Rumble at 30, like everyone was disappointed. They're like, oh, it's just Liv Morgan, you know. And now look at the change, like everyone's invested in what Liv Morgan's doing. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how it goes. I think this match, you know, unfortunately, we'll talk about the likely main event and the impending return, which is why I don't think this match will main event, but it has every reason to possibly, you know, be a contender to be main event. But I'm invested. I think I'm gonna stick with it that Liv Morgan's winning. How? I guess we'll see. You just gotta wait it out. But this storyline is damn good, and I know after this past Monday Night Raw when Liv did the little booty thing, I know. What am I showing? I know after that clip, like this storyline is bringing in social media views for WWE, so they have no reason to stop. Like, I've seen so many people arguing, they're like, sex sells, bro. So like anytime you have like a love storyline, especially with someone like Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, who people are constantly drooling over, like just like, let's face the facts. That's what Twitter is like. They're always just all over these two women, and you know, now that they're involved in the top storyline on Monday Night Raw, like no reason to stop it. I think, you know, you really kind of summed it up with a bow in much quicker fashion. There's just so much more to come out of this storyline.
Definitely.
But if Bad Blood is coming, and we have heated rivalries, and we already discussed one. We alluded to the other one, man. We now know there's a special guest referee, Seth Rollins, so I'm interested to see your perspective on that aspect. But it's finally time, man. Punk, Drew, come on. Lay it on me, bro. How you feeling? It's finally time for them to
finally, he's cleared. He's finally
for how
cleared.
much longer until the meat comes off the bone and he's back on the show?
I'm literally so nervous that he's literally gonna get injured again. But I'm hoping not. I'm hoping everything is good and we don't ruin any more plans. I feel like if he gets hurt, put the fries in the bag, bro. Like we're pack it up. Yeah. But no. I'm very excited for this feud. They haven't even touched each other, and they've been feuding since the Royal Rumble. This match is going to hit. I think Seth Rollins being the guest referee is cool. It's fine. When there was reports going out there that there was a special guest referee match for SummerSlam, I was kind of hoping it was Dom.
Yeah, me too.
That would have been fun because it's like, he's easily more persuaded than like Seth Rollins is. Like I feel like Seth Rollins is going to be kind of a hard ass for both of them. Like I feel like he's just going to be like, oh, well, you know, I'll just sit back and watch you guys tough it out. Yep. I think it's going to be fun. I think this match is going to, even though it's just a normal 1v1, I think it's going to, I mean, Seth Rollins has the say in the match. I think it's going to turn into like a hardcore match, and Seth Rollins is going to be like, whatever.
Yeah.
I think he will get involved towards the very end. I don't know who I want to win or if there is going to be a winner.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if maybe like Seth Rollins' hatred gets a little too hot and he gets involved and they have to kind of send out another ref and call it quits. And that kind of builds up their triple threat at maybe later Bad Blood or whatever. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, I think part of me wants Punk to win the whole feud, but for this match in particular, I'm not sure. I'm very excited. I don't really know where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I think this with the two heated rivalries as we discussed, Liv and Rhea, and then this one, these are the two most unpredictable matches of the night. However, just what I've been reading and what I'm kind of feeling in my gut is I feel like, I don't know if he'll win, but I feel like it makes more sense to have Drew win this one.
Yes.
Because the way I look at it is, you're going into WrestleMania 40. The plan is Punk Rollins. That's like the feud. This is kind of before Punk and Drew was really picking up speed. I mean, it already had, like, they were feuding, but not to the point now where they literally want to kill each other. So it was like Punk Rollins. That was the clear-cut feud. Punk gets hurt, you swap in Drew, etc. Drew and Seth just feels a little more dragged out. Like, it feels more of like, oh, we fought a lot, but like there's not that hatred for each other, So I do see Seth in the long run kind of holding more of a grudge against Punk. I feel like there's just more story to tell there, more beef present. And at the end of the day, Punk is such a star, a merch seller, that I feel like you have to keep Drew in the main event scene by just winning. Well, at the end of the day, Punk is just always going to be in the main event because of who he is.
That's a very fair point. Yeah.
And I do think at the end of the day, Punk is winning the whole feuds, barring any injuries, fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, we all know that this little love triangle between the three, Punk's two biggest rivals, were literally, as he walked in the door in WWE, Seth Rollins was pissed, and not long after, Drew McIntyre was obsessed with him. They're both going to get dragged out. There's so much story to tell. I think Seth only got added into this match because, one, he didn't have any other match to go to, and two, it's just a way to get Seth Rollins sing along like on SummerSlam. But it's not completely random. Like, it doesn't make sense why he's involved in the story. But I don't think it's more of a clear-cut prediction that Drew wins. However, I think it makes more sense. That's where I feel like for this
I
match.
agree.
100%. But yeah, it'll be a good match. I definitely think we're going to get a lot of like the John Cena special guest referee treatment where like you're just super, not into the match. You're just fucking around with him, pushing him, slapping him, and you're like, I'm the ref. You can't do anything, That's the kind of treatment I see happening. But there's definitely, I feel like there's the 2 world title matches and then these 2 heated rivalries. That's like your big 4 matches on SummerSlam. So these are going to be the 4 that you're most invested in, most excited for. And yeah, these 2 heated rivalry ones like are probably my personal, like, I can't wait for these 2. So it'll be interesting to see who wins, because I think both the heated rivalries have some unpredictability to them. But that's only 2 of the big 4. The other one would be Priest, Gunther. So we discussed Nia Jax win Queen of the Ring, and then the other end of that pay-per-view was Gunther winning King of the Ring, both getting guaranteed title shots at SummerSlam. I remember at that time being like, there's no way Damian Priest and Gunther are gonna fight. That's not a good match. Here we are.
Yep. Are
you invested? Are you like, do you see it going clear cut one way? What are you thinking?
Definitely was not invested at first. When Damian retained at Money in the Bank, and even at Backlash with Jey Uso, I was just like, okay, where is this going? And then, so I was like, you're telling me Damian's gonna fight Gunther at SummerSlam?
Yep.
And kind of similar to the Sami Zayn and Gunther fight. Funny that's the same person. It just took one promo, and I'm locked in.
Yeah.
I think that whole promo of Gunther saying, "You people are the reason why WWE brings me." I think first of all, I think IWC took it the wrong way. People are saying that it's kind of like a racist type of promo, but that's not what he means. It's classist. It's a little different.
Yeah.
But I think that alone, just like Gunther's getting booed in the stadium, and Damian's getting cheered. It worked. It actually worked. People are now invested. Damian went from not getting any reaction coming out with the belt to now he's getting just cheers and people happy to see him. And Gunther has always been kind of just like, oh yeah, look, it's Gunther. That means we're gonna get a 5-star match. And now people are like chanting, "You suck," booing him out of the stadium. Can't even get a word in the mic. This is great. This just one promo, and this match just went from just like a Yeah, I mean,
gonna
whatever.
happen,
It's a
yeah.
title match. And to like, man, I could see this main event. Some like maybe not SummerSlam, but like if this was like on like a Money in the Bank or even something else, like I could see this main event. Like it's been a great build up in just like 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think the bigger picture build up is the fact that like Priest has proved us wrong. I feel like at this point, like you can finally give him his flowers. Multiple times we were like, when he first won it, we were like, okay, you had the pop for a Money in the Bank cash in because that's just like, you know, a cheap pop. Everyone's gonna pop for a Money in the Bank cash in because it's so exciting.
Yeah.
But now prove us wrong. Prove that you deserve to be champion. And,
Yep.
you know, maybe he had a cheat code being in the Judgment Day and just the fire that Judgment Day always brings. They always have momentum because they're just so uniquely blended together. You got Dom Mysterio with all the heat, Mommy with the crazy popularity, Finn Balor, who's just so respected as a legend. And, well, I don't know if the legend might be a little strong, but you know what I mean. He's very respected. First ever Universal Champion. Ran shit in Japan with the Bullet Club. And then you have Damian Priest, like always attached to that. He is only like crowning moments were like the main event with Bad Bunny and winning Money in the Bank. And now it's like, all right, I see a lot of people online saying Priest is having a better reign and run than Cody, you know? And like that's definitely subjective and up to debate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
an argument can be made that Damon's just doing great work. And prediction wise, I personally do think Gunther's leaving with the title. I think. However, I'm also not surprised if Priest's reign does continue. However, I do think there's just so much more potential for, say, a Finn Balor run-in and he turns his back, Judgment Day implodes.
Oh, definitely.
I think this also answers the question earlier with Priest now kind of being more of a face. That maybe at the end of the day, Mommy, Rhea Ripley will end up being the good guy in long term in this Liv storyline, just because of Damian and Rhea's like connection. And I thought it was really cool. Another thing people were really microanalyzing was, I believe it was the most recent Raw, when Judgment Day made their entrance into the arena, they came in like 3 different groups. You had Dom, Finn, and JD like walk by the camera. Then you had Damian and Rhea walk in. Then you had Carlito. Carlito's, you know, the comedic relief. But I think that was very foreshadowing of the Judgment Day split. Whether, you know, like maybe everyone turns their back on Mommy and it's like Dom, Finn, JD, they all go to like Liv's side, turning their back on Damian and Rhea, leaving the only OG members left. Rhea and Damian could go on to be huge baby faces on Raw, and then Carlito will do whatever Carlito wants to do. But yeah, it'll be interesting how it all plays out. I think both the Liv and the Damian match will be kind of intertwined story-wise. However, with Damian still having that to fall back on and being invested in, I feel like if Gunther loses, it's like, what does he do from here? There's gonna be all these other people gunning for the world title scene. Jey Uso, Ilya Dragunov, one day Braun Breaker, maybe Sami Zayn gets thrown in there. If he loses, how does he recover? Where does he go from? I feel like Damian has so much more of a failsafe to fall back on. Gunther doesn't. So that's why I just feel like, you know, it's time for another Gunther reign, I guess. You know, that's just the situation we're in. But yeah, he is definitely getting like nuclear heat right now after that promo, where everyone's like, "Oh my God, Gunther, he's gonna say like the N-word." Like he's getting like crazy memes and shit, bro. Like it's crazy what I'm seeing.
I mean, I'm okay with another Gunther reign. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 666-day reign, you know, like the Intercontinental. I feel like that World Heavyweight title, you know, I think Seth was gonna be the guy who's gonna hold it the longest for a long time. I think it's gonna switch hands a lot. I know Finn Balor and Gunther are having a match next week on Raw. Maybe that's the start of something as well. Like maybe like that's just like the beginning of something in the future that you know, Finn fights Gunther for the title and then he gets the title. Who knows? But I agree with you. I think that Gunther has nowhere to go but this title for right now, and I think that he needs this title more than Damian. And I do think that this match and Liv and Rhea's match are going to be intertwined some way or another. 100%. It's all going to be like this. It's just the Judgment Day story in 2 different matches. It's going to be the Damian side and then the Rhea side, and I'm excited. This is this is the most predictable PLE that we've seen this year. And probably the most hype I've been, not counting WrestleMania 40. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the storylines, I had made a short recently. I was like, storylines might be the best they've ever been in WWE. Because I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation about, everyone will always point, when was WWE at its peak? The Attitude Era. Not saying that's wrong. Not saying that's wrong at all. Obviously, everyone was watching during the times of Stone Cold, The Rock, Mankind, you name it. But strip away the popularity, the glitz and glamour, the Stone Cold glass shattering storylines. What were people invested in during the Attitude Era? What was Stone Cold doing? What's The Rock doing? Where's the championship? And then the middle of the show was sprinkled with teams like the Dudley Boys, the Hardys, and whatnot. But the storylines, I feel like, just weren't as deep and rich, other than whatever the top stars were doing. But in WWE now, it's like, yes, you have the top storylines like Judgment Day, like the Bloodline, but then you're just filled with, throughout the show, 8 different storylines going on that you're pretty invested in, like top to bottom. I think WWE storylines and just storylines, flat out storylines, not anything else. Like right now, we can blatantly say WWE's music sucks, like probably the worst it's ever been. So, there are still critiques for WWE right now. But when it comes to storylines, I think they are the absolute peak of the mountain in 2024. And yeah, I think going into this PLE, we have more matches than we're used to for PLEs, because we're used to that 5-card Triple H sweet spot. So we're going to have more. And it does seem like, you could point to a lot of these matches. Like even going back to Braun and Sammy or the U.S. title match, like everyone's unpredictable. Like there's not one match where like there's not a single percent chance that this person wins. Like everyone kind of has a chance to walk out of these matches champion. Aside from the main event. Because with the presumed main event being Cody Rhodes, our boy on this podcast, versus Solo Sikoa. Does anyone truly believe Solo's walking away with this title?
Oh yeah, me. No, I'm saying.
No.
Dude, if you told me even just like 3 months ago, Solo Sikoa is gonna headline, or presumably headline, the second biggest PLE in WWE, I'd be like, you're joking. Like, this guy's, he's in like a main event faction, but he's nothing but a mid-card. He went 0 and like 38 last year. Like, I can't believe we're at the point where he's getting a WWE championship title shot
in the main event.
It's crazy. Yes, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because, again, I just go back to being a broken record, man. I make the same points over and over on these podcasts, and they still just hold up. I'm so sad with Solo Sikoa because I want to be a fan. I love his theme song. I love his look. Although, hey, he's got to start getting some Sheamus treatment. That man got to start cutting. I love, like the spike, the homages to Umaga. Like, I love all that. And I loved when he was the enforcer for Roman Reigns. Like, he did have aura. But then once he it's still that losing streak. Once you go on a losing streak like that, it is so hard to recover. And, with Jacob Fatu being added to the bloodline, like, yeah, the aura's been growing, but all the odds have turned to Jacob Fatu, which is what WWE was scared of. It happened anyways. Like, when you think of the new bloodline, at least for me, the first person that pop in your mind is Jacob Fatu. He had that crazy tear. That one time he, interfered in a match and, was doing monkey flips and shit. You're like, oh, shit, this guy is insane. Like, he definitely has taken away from Solo. And at the end of the day, this feels a little forced, where it's like, well, until Roman Reigns returns, Solo Sikoa has to be, the new head of the table, and it's getting shoved down your throat. And, I want it to work because I see the vision, but something is still just off. It's not working, And that's why with this match, it's definitely getting a lot of hate and criticism, and I see why, because it hasn't fully stuck. And I think in general, Raw's cooking with their top 3 to 4 storylines. SmackDown doesn't have much going for it. The wheels are kind of falling off the bus with SmackDown. which sucks because I'm a huge Cody fanboy, as you guys can tell, but I can still see the criticism that is present. Like, it's just not on top, and it sucks because Cody's clearly a draw. He's sold out like his Fanatics Fest ticket line or whatever.
It's crazy.
He's still probably the top merch seller or one of the top, but storyline wise, wrestling wise, like, it is a little bit of a ambiguous, rough spot right now. We will talk about the impending return to finish SummerSlam, but is there anything else you wanted to pickpocket or say about the Cody and Solo match itself, and also predictions?
I mean, kind of what you were saying too is like, I was talking to my friend when we were watching SmackDown this week, and I'm just like, isn't it weird? Like, so first of all, SmackDown has ended in the same way every week for the past month. It's been terrible. It's just the bloodline destroying top talent. It's like, okay, how many times can we see this before it gets old?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's the same. It seems like it's always the same way. It's like Solo, the Tongas come out, they get their ass beat by Cody, Randy, and KO. Like, they're literally getting dogged on, and then here comes Jacob Fatu, and he comes into the ring and it destroys all three of them. Like, I don't understand how WWE was worried about him taking the spotlight when they're literally making him take the spotlight.
Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, I know why they're doing this. They're doing this match, but it's so weird. Like, I see, like, because the return that we're about to talk about, or the maybe return we're about to talk about, but the story, like you said, the bloodline's missing something, and it's missing a lot. I mean, there's like no aura between any of them except Jacob Fatu. Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously Cody's gonna win, but I cannot see a world like this is the only match. There is a 0% chance I see Solo Sikoa coming out as champion.
Exactly. That again, it was a perfect transition earlier when we were talking about the unpredictability of this pay-per-view, followed by a main event that seems so clear cut. Because we were talking about it before we even went live with this podcast. This Cody versus Solo match has already been on SmackDown, I believe, twice, if not more.
Yeah. With
Cody winning both times. Because if you remember, I think it was right before WrestleMania 39, Cody faced Solo, and that was Solo's first ever loss. Yeah. Solo wasn't really hurt. He didn't lose aura. It was like, whoa, shit, like, Cody just beat Solo. He's going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. You guys know how the rest of that story goes. Loses, wins at WrestleMania 40. But yeah, right after Solo had lost to Cody, he kind of didn't recover, went on the losing streak. Here we are now. He's back on a pedestal in the main event scene, but it's just not clicking.
Yeah.
How I see it going. Cody Rhodes, I think, undoubtedly is going to win, continue. He's the poster boy for WWE right now. He'll win. If I was in creative, this is how I'm writing this main event to go. You know, I think there's going to be a typical Bloodline-esque match. Cody and Solo will fight, blah, 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 a couple close calls. It's going to get to the point where Solo's getting his ass beat. Cody's about to win. Out come the Tongas. The Tongas come and interfere. Blah, 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 blah. They're doing their thing. Then you hear the, I hear voices. Out come Randy Orton and KO. Tongas, Randy Orton, KO fighting. It's all chaos. Jacob Fatu does his little walk. I love you, Solo. And he starts just causing havoc. That's when I think either A, impending return happens, possibly, or B, you know, within all that chaos, somehow Cody pulls out the win. And that's how it goes. Then I do think at the end of the day, Roman Reigns somehow is coming out at the end of this pay-per-view just to kind of... that's the only reason I feel like Cody and Solo are main eventing. If Roman doesn't come out, I'd be very shocked that this main evented.
Yes.
I think it was, I forget which. Oh, it was Clash of the Castle. Even though it's Cody Rhodes, your champ, they let Priest and McIntyre main event because they're like, at the end of the day, this just has more going for it, more story. It's Drew's hometown. Right. That's what I feel like for this pay-per-view. If Roman wasn't returning, this match probably would have kicked off SummerSlam, and any of those other heated rivalry matches, or even the World Heavyweight Championship could have main evented. I feel like the only reason this SmackDown level match is main eventing is because of Roman Reigns returning. But that's how I would see it going. I think it's just going to be a typical Cody versus Solo match. It's not going to be a 5-star match because I don't think Solo's capable of that level. It's gonna be interference. People are getting involved, and then the payoff from this, I think, is Cody goes on to then feud with either Randy or whoever the next challenger is, kind of hopefully splitting off from the bloodline. He'll go do his own thing. That way you don't have Roman and Cody clashing on SmackDowns. Like, I feel like that would be a little weird. So have Cody go do his own thing. Then the Bloodline Civil War really starts. Like, you've already planted the seeds with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. You'll have Roman Reigns back, probably assembling the Avengers. Maybe Jimmy Uso gets involved. Like, as I had said, when Jacob Fatu comes out and there's, like, that one missing man, maybe that's when Jimmy Uso inserts himself to kind of be the number game. But, I would like to see, after this match, two, like, stories branching off. Cody's title reign and the Bloodline Civil War. That's why I see it going. At some point down the line, more than likely, The Rock rejoins, gets involved in either of those storylines, Cody or the Bloodline Civil War. But I would not drag this out any longer because the SmackDown's ending with the Bloodline beatdowns and Cody saying, no, take me instead. It's getting old. It's not to the level of Raw, man. Raw is clearly the A show right now.
Yeah. Now, question for you.
Yes.
If Roman returns, are we going to see him come out by himself? Or do you think he's going to come back with his wise man? Kind of like Paul Heyman comes out like how like a little kid tattles on his friend or whatever. He comes out, goes, ha ha, I just got you in trouble, and then like they go to like attack Paul Heyman, and then like then the music hits, and then like they like get halfway down the ramp, the music hits, and they're just like, uh-oh, and then out comes Roman, and I feel like Roman would come out with Jimmy too. I feel like both Paul Heyman and Jimmy got exiled from the bloodline, so like I feel like just like like a little dog, they just walk back to Roman with their tails tucked, and I feel like Roman's like, all right, and like Jimmy was like, when Jimmy walked back to Roman, he was just like, oh, come on, man up. And then when Paul Heyman comes back to Roman, he's probably like, all right, this is the last straw, and I feel like he's gonna come out with both of them, and then my guess is like the Bloodline 2.0 will probably like want to start a war with Bloodline 1.0, and then that's when Roman will probably start looking into Jay, and then Jay starts getting into the Bloodline story. That's kind of how that all unfolds, because November will come fast enough, and then Survivor Series will be here. So.
Yep, 100%. To answer your question, I do think that's a possibility. Personally, I don't know. I mean, I'm a big Jimmy Uso fan, so I kind of want him to get his moment. Like, let him get his return pop. Yeah. I want to hear "I was born a king." Like, I want to hear the theme. Let him have his little moment before you bring out Roman. But it's a possibility. To answer your question, though, 1,000%. If you don't bring out Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns, or Paul Heyman to bring out Roman Reigns, missed opportunity. Like, why else did you write off Paul Heyman other than to have him just be as hype? And to allude to the Roman Reigns return, I feel like it writes itself. And the reason why I feel so strongly about Roman coming back is because obviously he hasn't been seen since losing to Cody Rhodes. I think he's coming back a face this time around. That's why this Bloodline 2.0 has been billed as these unstoppable heels. He's going to come back as the hero to regain his tribal chief chair, head of the table status. Because the first thing we saw when he lost was he was like mourning, like now the revenge like comes back or whatever, and like in order to even get back to the status of winning the title, he has to be head of the table, and right now, according to Solo Sikoa, he's not. So you got to get through all that shit before you even think about inserting Roman Reigns back into the world title picture. Whenever that may be, whether it is the possibly rumored triple threat, Roman Reigns, Cody, Rock, who knows, but yeah, I think that's how I would see that main event going. I feel like it's only there for a Roman Reigns return, and it could go many ways, but as I discussed, that would be my pitch for how it should go. But I think if you finish this show and the copyright comes up, and it's not like the CM Punk tease where like copyright came up and then CM Punk's music hits, like if you show the copyright and you go off air and there was no Roman Reigns, I would be shocked. Like, why else did this shit main event?
Yep.
And this is coming from a Cody Rhodes fanboy. Why they didn't main event, you know?
No, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we have actually just burned through the match card just about in time with 5 minutes to spare before we hit an hour. So I'm very excited for this very unpredictable match card for SummerSlam. It'll be interesting to see again if any matches get added. Will Wyatt Six have an appearance on the show? They've been so hot. Are you really going to keep them off SummerSlam? It'll be interesting to see the various matches that go down. And now that you know what's seemingly a pretty built-up pay-per-view, Bad Blood is upcoming, what matches will linger and continue on, what matches will end at SummerSlam and stop, hopefully, Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa, hopefully Braun Breaker and Sami Zayn, hopefully Logan Paul losing his title. But yeah, man, if you, I guess last question is like, you are tied to a chair, gun pointed to your head, what is like the clear-cut match you are most looking forward to next Saturday? And why?
Rhea and Liv. I feel like, I mean, as much as I love Punk and I love Drew, I think the Liv and Rhea fight will be fun. Obviously, Dominic is going to be included. It's always a treat to see. It's kind of just like a match where it's like it's a blood feud, but also you have the like comedy of Dominic in the background. I just think it's just gonna be a back and forth thing. I think it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be sick. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, that's the one I'm most excited for. It's like really close. It's like this is Drew and Punk. This is Liv and Rhea. It's literally like that. I'm just a little bit more excited for it just because the story behind it and like is, I don't know, it's just more fun. It's a more fun story. Drew and Punk are more just like, it's just a blood feud. They're out there to kill each other basically.
100%. I mean, I ain't even gotta say it because you took my pick. I think everyone is very invested in Rhea Liv. As I said, the social media clicks, everything is just that's number one. When you think of the top storylines of WWE, I dare to say that hands down, Liv and Rhea is absolutely killing the game with WWE. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see how all those matches play out. And then after SummerSlam, I don't know if it's immediately Bad Blood. Probably not. There's probably some other pay-per-views sprinkled in there. I don't know what immediately comes next. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see after the biggest event of the summer, the second biggest PLE WWE does yearly. Because funny enough, SummerSlam will actually be going to 2 nights, either next year or 2026. Which that's going to be interesting. That just shows you how much they value SummerSlam. That it's going to start getting the WrestleMania 2-night treatment. But it'll be interesting to see after this SummerSlam, you know, where things go. There's so much speculation as to what's going to lead to WrestleMania 41, especially with Cody, The Rock, Roman, that whole storyline, the new bloodline. You have so many people that aren't involved right now. Like, you still got AJ Styles, who's coming back from Japan eventually. Shinsuke Nakamura's been nowhere to be seen. You name it. There's the injured, like we talked about, Charlotte Flair. Becky Lynch has been gone. There's a lot of top names that aren't involved, yet you still have this much anticipation for a SummerSlam. So WWE's cooking. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I think that's where we're going to end the 10th episode. Any closing little remarks or things that you just want to, say? Actually, this is the question I want to ask you. This is now your 3rd podcast. We're here celebrating the 10th episode of The Story Continues. How's it feel, man? Do you feel like you're a natural now? Like, how's the whole experience been of coming on these podcasts?
I feel like every time I'm on the episode, I get a little bit better. I kind of break out of my shell a little bit. I'm more of myself. Like, now I'm just like kind of lounging in my chair. Just,
you got some tense.
I'm not like I'm worried about how I look, how I'm presented. Like, it's becoming natural to me, and it still hasn't motivated me to start any channel or anything.
This man has my new Elgato, and he's like, another date.
I'm such a lazy fuck. I come home and I just play video games, and I could be making video games, making videos of video games, but I don't know. I gotta do it. I just gotta, once I start, it'll be good. I just gotta get
start.
into it.
That's the hardest thing, is just starting with content creation and whatnot. But it's the same for being a wrestling fan. You know, one of the hosts in that Sky just started watching wrestling because we're going to go to WrestleMania, and I was literally just as big of a fan as I am. So, you know, once you start anything, then you hit the ball running. But it's been fun. It's been so much fun having you on the podcast. We have many more to go. Here's to 20 episodes. To be here. 25 episodes, 50 episodes, 100 episodes one day. Damn, we're gonna be old when that happens. But maybe by the time we hit like the big like 50 or something, that's when like Cena's retiring or something. That'd be awesome if it times out to be like you know, the 40 more episodes Cena retires. That'd be awesome. We'll see if we can time that to have like the 50th episode be Cena's like, that's it. Like, all right, Cena's last match is coming up. But we'll see. We got 40 episodes to go before then. So thank you guys so much for watching The Story Continues cast. We will be back with a post SummerSlam podcast likely. I will actually be in Buffalo, New York for another N10 wedding with Night Sky, so we're thinking about maybe doing some type of IRL episode 11 podcast. We'll see. But until the next one that Rivera hops on, until the next PLE, which neither of us seem to know what that is, so we'll have to figure that out. We never know. Every AM episode, I'm like, that next PLE, like maybe it's like Clash at the Castle. Oh no. But until that next one, you know, I hope your story can continue, and yeah, enjoy SummerSlam. This is definitely, I know it's, again, I think I've said broken record like 8 times this podcast, but it is very broken record. We're always saying, I can't wait for this PLE. I'm so excited. But this one feels different. This one is like a solid car. We are ready. And yeah, I think it's going to be a stellar show with a lot of people buzzing, especially if you top it off with a Roman Reigns return. So enjoy. Story continues, and I'll see you guys on episode 11. And next week, enjoy that SummerSlam. We'll see if any matches get added. As I said, there are 2 SmackDowns, 1 Raw left before SummerSlam, so we'll see how much changes. But Rivera, thank you for joining me for the special episode 10.
Thank you for having me.
Any final closing remarks? I just want to, you know, I always just talk and talk and talk. You gotta think of some original little catchphrase or something to say.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, let's go.
I did it.
Ooh, he's original as hell. He's a natural when it comes to being a content creator.
Ring that bell icon for notifications.
Ugly. Donation link down below to my PayPal. Ugly. Well, on that note, folks, peace out, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.